Hello and welcome to my retro watches, and on the bench today is a brand that some of you might not even know made watches. This is the brand Ricoh, and this one is a classic 70s watch, very reminiscent of the Citizens and the Seikos of the time. Now, Ricoh was formed in 1962. So they've been around a little while. How long they made watches for, I don't actually know, but it's all in my genre. This is a retro watch for my retro watches, finally. Now, this is pretty cool. We'll get into it in a few more details. First of all, I bought this at one of my local watch fairs, the Birmingham Watch Fair. Anybody in the UK might know Birmingham, the city, and we have watch fairs there 5 times a year. And I'm privileged enough to be able to film one of those very soon, so stay tuned for that. Paid roughly, I don't know what I paid for this, £30. It wouldn't have been much more than that. Now, it does want to run. When you shake it, it'll go, but it quickly stops and it's not telling good time. I think it just needs a good service. Typically it's missing the bracelet. I'm sure it came with a bracelet, but I'm not going to let that put me off. Now, what's really cool about this, if I start moving it around, you can see it's got a facet crystal. Again, this is all very 70s. Seiko did this to great effect. However, what's really cool about this one is it's acrylic and the facets are on the inside, which means that you can polish this up, and we will do that in the video, make this look good as new, and the facets will look brilliant. Whereas the ones that Seiko use generally, with the exception of a few, because I have actually got one similar like this with Seiko, they used their Hardlex crystal and they tended to get very scratched, which was really disappointing. And then they're really hard actually to buy now. You can find them sometimes. They command some big money. I'll put some photographs up of some of the ones I've got. Now, this also isn't the only Ricoh I've got. I've got another 2 in the fleet, and I'll show you those towards the end of the video. But this is cool. It's a big size. I haven't measured it yet, but we'll measure that later on. It's got a lovely sort of burgundy red dial, I guess. Nice chapter ring, lume pips on the inside. Those indices are really cool too. And then when you get over to the date here, well, the 6 is actually denoting the day of the week, so what day it is. So it's the 6th day. Saturday is the 6th day. Obviously then you've got the day and the date, so that's cool in itself. And then it has this little setting button on the side here as well to quick set the date. So that's going to be interesting to see how that mechanism works. And I'm guessing the other 2 operate on the crown. I'm now winding the watch. It is an automatic and it winds, and with these finger cuts I can't find the position. Never mind. So that's what the watch looks like from the outside. The back of the case as well, really cool. That's nice embossed logo on the back there. Now, I'm hoping, or I'm assuming really, that it's probably been unloved. It's been in drawers for years and it just needs a service. We'll take the back off and have a closer look, and then of course all we're going to do, strip it down, put it through the cleaner. If we notice anything significant, then obviously we'll try and repair that, but I am really hopeful of just a service. If we just have a quick look at the case back, and that's quite an interesting finish in the back there, but I don't see a single service mark. Doesn't mean to say that it has never been serviced before. However, that is an indication that it's probably been pretty unloved for many a decade. So it's a functional movement. It's probably going to be very Seiko-esque, I would imagine. However, I'm just looking now at how, I mean, that rotor for a start, this don't think has got much power in. But look, if I move it about, we're not really seeing that rotor move as much. So I don't know why that is just yet, but you would assume if there's no power in it, that would be very free spinning. So again, we'll see. It looks very complex actually. Look at all the little wheels going here to wind the ratchet. So there's a whole train of stuff going on. That should be fun to have a look at. So, okay, get yourself a drink, kick back and relax and watch me strip this watch to bits. Now, as per usual, this is my first time working on this movement. I don't know what this movement is yet, what the reference is, and certainly my first time working on a Ricoh. I have got another two, like I said, but I've never taken them apart. So just having a look first of all, see how the movement comes out. We've got a clamp there and a clamp there, and then I'm just curious as well as to whether this top plate has anything to do with the ratchet, because you want to be able to let the mainspring down if there is power safely. So let's just try and get it out the case first, put it in a movement holder, and I've got a bit more control then. Okay, with the movement out the case, that dial looks beautiful, doesn't it? It really is in good condition. Certainly a little bit of some scratching down here, but that's fine. And the indices and the hands are looking a little bit, I'll never know the word for that. I suppose it's just corroded of some sort. We can try and tidy those up later on. Let's get the hands off. Interesting screws to remove the dial. I think I've seen this before. Not sure what on though. Don't think it was Japanese. Right, let's get started on the strip down. That date wheel looks, or the day wheel should I say, looks a bit interesting. I'm hoping a bit of Ricoh is all I need. Not quite. It's interesting, it's definitely meeting some resistance. Now I see why. I think it just lifts off. Nope. So we've got problems already. We've only just started. How does that? How does it come over the hour wheel? Okay, you didn't see that, but it does lift off. Right, so what we got? This is the bit I'm assuming. Oh no, that looks like the stem. No, it can't be. That must be the mechanism to quick set the date. So we've got top cover here. And now I'm recording on the microscope. The joy of this is I can take a photo, which is what I've just done now, and that way I can remember at least the location of some of these screws and parts. Okay, now I'm just a little bit apprehensive because you can see there's a D-dent there, and that might be spring loaded. Along with this one, looks like there's something there. And it's plates that sometimes make springs fly. Yeah, you see, like there's a little one there. Doesn't look too harrowing, but for sure it's going to have a bit of power on it. I'm still trying to work out this spring here as well. Let's deal with this one first. Be nice to think I'm the first person in here. That looks a bit weird, doesn't it, with a very big main plate. Just this little bit of detail in the middle. And this perplexing, from the angle I'm at, I can't work out what that is. What we've got there, not sure if that's coming through on camera or not. Tilt it. It's actually a screw, look, see? Like a black coloured screw. But it's like it's got a spring. Oh, it just moves. Well, that's a bit strange, isn't it? Okay. I was expecting this to be completely sprung loaded and that had something to do with it, but no, clearly not. Okay, well, let's just get the wheels off to start with, get that off, and we'll come back to that. What is good though, there's no plastic parts. See, that's catching on that screw, see? Or spring, should I say. Well, so far I'm actually liking this movement. Seems to be quite friendly. So I'm going to tackle this little spring. Which is really bizarre, look. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Now I'm getting carried away because I can still see the balance turning and I've not let the tension down on the spring and I nearly took all the keyless works out, and that could be a little bit more interesting. So let me see if I can disarm the watch, for want of a better word. So now with the movement over, typically it's stopped running, so I don't think there is a lot of power in there, but with the crown back in, you can see all of that train moving. It seems excessive wobble here, but it might be just the force. But I cannot wind the movement, which is really bizarre because I could before. So I can't see what I've disturbed, but I don't know. And this has got 3 screws in it as well. Sorry, I'm just trying to speaking out loud really. Trying to see what's got to come off first. So I'm guessing those 2 screws there won't hurt. This is exciting stuff. This is a bit challenging. Well, that's incredible. What you probably won't have seen there is that this wheel here with the little gear on the top, if I offer this up now, there's a pin. Trying to get it in focus. This little pin at the bottom here, that holds that wheel in position. That's really really unusual. And then there's obviously another little wheel on there with a spring as well. Look, I'll come back to that plate later on. God, that's fascinating. Maybe this is why Ricoh weren't around for too long. Made the most complex things ever. And look at the two little reverser wheels. They're on a little plate of their own as well. And it's been blued. I don't know if you can see that. That's definitely bluing. And I wouldn't say that's decorative. I mean, it might be decorative, but I'm wondering if it's just to keep it hard. God, that's absolutely fascinating. Oh, what else are we going to find? I haven't even let the power down yet. Which is the only thing I was doing on this side originally. Let's just remove that wheel. Anything that might decide to take a run for it. Right, so can I grab hold of the crown? I can't turn it. I don't know if it's got any power in it anyway. Doesn't look it, does it? Still doesn't mind. I hope you're enjoying this one, because I am. The tray's going to be full, the compartment tray. There's that many screws and parts and bits and bobs. See, this clearly is meant to be removed. That's fascinating. That's really good. Right, time to get a really big screwdriver out. So this is the click spring. I don't know where the spring is. It's kind of underneath there somewhere. And then we got, okay, so these are the 3 screws to remove the top plate, which we'll do shortly. Now what is that one doing? So I see, right, okay. That's why it's secured at the top. So you're used to seeing posts sticking up from the bottom to put wheels on top, but obviously it would be fouling on the barrel there. So they've designed it to come down on it. That might be a little bit interesting to get it in the right location when I come to fit it. There's quite a bit of slack here, isn't there? Wow, okay, well I'm just going to flip it back over, take the keyless out and the cannon pinion, then we can strip the rest down. Interesting yoke. That really is feeling quite loaded. And by loaded I mean there's a lot of tension on it. So with the tension off, it still won't come off this post here. How do you get it out? Well, I can try Ricoh. But that doesn't want to work either. Why am I not surprised? Well, there you go. That's one way to get it off. Yeah, it's wanting to come up with the screw, the spring, isn't it? Or is this one of those springs that never comes out? I don't know. I think it must do. Yeah. Well, at least that's out of the way. Okay, that's those two parts gone too. Well, we're getting somewhere now. So this is the quick set date mechanism from that other pusher. And that's worthy of a photo. So we know the locations of everything, because that again is quite a little complicated little setup, isn't it? It's got a horrible spring. Well, that flew out. I wasn't 100% sure of its position. So if that spring is coming out of there, that is in. That is in really tight. Can I get away with leaving it in and get that little part out? No. Now that one just did a dance, but fortunately made so much noise it flew about a foot. There it is. So it's a movement with a lot of springs in it, and if anyone's a regular to the channel, you remember that Citizen I did with a movement full of springs? That had some earth-shattering ones, and this one's not dissimilar. It's going to be really interesting on the rebuild. I will be looking back at the photos and the video to be sure I know what I'm doing on this one. Right, here we are on the opposite side. And I'm going to tentatively remove the click. It's got a spring underneath it, there we go. No real idea of the orientation of that one either, so it's something else I'm going to have to work out. It's got a bit that sticks up on the end here. Just thinking, are we out of focus? Possibly. And that must have been in that hole, I'm sure. So it's the movement that keeps on giving. Here's the train. So again, nice little setup we've got. Cool looking little bridge here, isn't it, for the fourth wheel and the centre wheel underneath. And then what's more intriguing as well is you're so used to seeing, you know, the balance wheel here, the escape here, well, the pallet fork here, the escape here, and it's like the completely opposite direction. That's. Is anyone else finding this interesting? Leave a comment below. And while you're there, don't forget to hit like. If you're enjoying this video, hit the like right now, please, because it really does help. And that's all I ever want you guys to do if you enjoy my videos. That balance is really tight. What an unusual pallet fork. It's the movement that just keeps on giving. And my big screwdriver for the right size slot is too thick on the ends. They've got massive screws on this with very thin slots. And that's another screw that nearly made it to the floor. So yeah, look at that. Is that not the weirdest pallet fork you have ever seen? It even hooks over like a little post here. Let me bring the microscope right in on that. I can safely say I have never seen a pallet fork like that before. That's amazing. I'm going to take a photo of that. You'll see that on the social media way before this video ever goes out. Right, I've got my microscope that close now. I can't get my head down to pick up the part. But pick it up I will somehow. Everything on this movement is not as you think it's going to be. Wow. Going to need a real steady hand when it comes to rebuilding it. Is that a little bit of... Yeah, look, see that? Can you see that little bit of gump there? That could be all it is at slowing it or stopping the watch, believe it or not. Just little bits like that is all it takes. I did a video absolute years ago on what can stop a watch, and the conclusion is not much. Right. Something else that feels quite stiff. Let's have the barrel away. And again, look, there's some little bit of debris. Oh, is that debris or is it just the light? It's just the light. So metal on metal. I have got a very light touch. I do scratch things occasionally, I will admit that. But there we go. Right, that was a heck of a long strip down, but it's done. You can see how the milling cutter's routed through all of that. Look, that's quite clever. Right, this is going to be a really long strip down, so let's put it in the cleaner, and I'll have to get myself really prepared for the rebuild because I think that's going to be quite monumental. Hopefully you're really enjoying this one. I am. I'm absolutely fascinated. I have not seen a movement like this before. It's complex in many respects. That's one really, really tiny screw. And right to the very bitter end, look at that spring. Goes around all of that. That's phenomenal. Can I get it out? Does it stay in? It comes out, definitely. Look at that. I'm going to have to count the springs in a minute and see how many we got. I count 6 springs in all. That is quite a lot. And they're going to be real painful to fit some of those. Some of them, like this one, should be fairly easy. So stay tuned. We're back shortly for the rebuild. Okay guys, that's the end of part 1. I hope you enjoyed the strip down of this rather unusual movement. Now of course I want you to watch part 2, which is the rebuild, so please click up here. That's all you need to do. Of course, like, subscribe, leave comments below. I do read every single comment and I try to reply to as many as I can. So yes, click this one, please. See you in that video.